how you had the accident. Let's talk about the accident.
I broke my neck in 2003, 21st of November 2003, which was a Sunday. I've always been a motorsport person, so we'd been racing in the morning with the Porsche Club, and I picked up my car on the way home from a friend's house and went around the corner at 60 k's an hour and unfortunately hit a wet patch in the road. I just remember coming around the corner and the back of the car sort of flicked out a bit, and it seemed very sort of casual and very slow, and I thought, oh, okay, no problem, it'll sort itself out. The road in front of me was pretty straight. I had about 100 to 200 meters of straight road in front of me, and although the sort of car was sliding a little bit at the back, I expected it to straighten itself out and just stop, and that would sort of be the end of it. Unfortunately, it started veering to the left and looked like it was going to go up a bank. And if it had gone up the bank, I felt it would have rolled. So I flicked the car into a spin in order that it would sort of take some of the energy out of it and sort of spin down the straight road and come to a grinding halt. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It spun down the road probably 15, 20 times. The steering wheel snapped out of my hand, so I couldn't hold on to it. And I sat there like a passenger on a roller coaster, and still very calm. And it all seemed to be very slow, like most things do when you have an accident. It seemed all to be in slow motion. But I still thought it was just going to stop at the end of the road and I'd get out and that would be it. Unfortunately, the back wheel slid down probably about a 3 or 4 foot bank on the opposite side, on the right-hand side of the road into the sugarcane. And as it slid down the bank, the rear wheels then dug in, and the nose of the car then flicked over backwards. So I went sort of nose over tail, as it were. So I did one back flip, and then it rolled back onto its wheels. So one back flip, one side flip. The moment I saw the sky through the windscreen, I knew that I was in trouble. I knew that I was rolling or flipping, and it wasn't going to be a good thing. And unfortunately, I didn't have my seatbelt on. In stupidity, I'd literally, my friend's house was probably 1.5 kilometers down the road. I'd reversed down his driveway without my seatbelt on, and I'd sort of got in the road and put some music on and just forgotten to pull the seatbelt over. That left me loose and flying in the car, as it were. So while the car was doing its flipping and rolling, I went upward and my head connected with the front windscreen pillar, which then sent shockwaves straight through my neck, instantly shattering the bones in my neck. And the car landed at a sort of on its wheels, but at a sort of angle leaning towards the passenger seats, as it were. So it was sort of probably at it tilted, and that caused me to, my legs were still in the driver's seat and my bum was still sitting in the driver's chair, but my body was flung into the rest of my body was pushed into the passenger seat, as it were. So I landed lying across the passenger seat with my face pushed up against the passenger door panel, and instantly couldn't feel my legs, couldn't move. Was in excruciating pain because my right arm, which was sort of hanging towards the driver's side, literally felt like it was broken in 100 places. The pain going through my arm was incredible, and that was obviously the nerve pain because the nerves were trapped in my neck. And there was a lot of blood because I'd put a dent in my thick skull on the roof of the car, so that, when you have a head wound, there's always a lot of blood.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of blood from the head, and I sort of landed, and then that was a life changed. Straight away, lying there, quite strangely. the first thing I thought of was we were building a race car at the time, and it still doesn't make sense why I first thought of this. But the first thing I thought of was, am I now going to have to change the controls to drive my race car? And that was literally the first thought I had when I landed. We'd raced 3 weeks before from Cape Town to Sun City in an event called the Fireball, and one of the guys there was paralyzed and driving a car. And the first thought when I landed was, am I now going to have to change the car that we've been building for the last few years to allow me to drive it? So very weirdly, I was calm for, I'd say, probably the first 10 minutes in the car, sort of just sitting there thinking, okay, what's happened, trying to take it all in, trying to work out how I was going to get out of the car. And also I couldn't really see because the way the car was on the side, the windscreen was broken, the back window was broken. The car was at a bit of an angle, and down a bank. So I was still sort of looking straight. I was looking where I could see. I was sort of looking up the dashboard, as it were. So I couldn't really see where I'd landed, how far down I'd landed in the sugarcane. Was I so far down that no one was going to find me, off the road? Was I going to be stuck there? And then I don't know whether you want to call it panic or frustration, but then the frustration sort of set in. And I wiggled around and tried to move and eventually flung my right arm sort of up somehow, and it landed on my leg. And when it landed on my leg, I felt it. And I thought, okay, that's weird. I can feel my legs. This can't be that bad. Obviously, I've just, done some sort of damage. I didn't think broken neck or anything like that. I just thought, well, obviously I've done some sort of damage. I've still got sensation in my legs. I can still feel my legs. So although I can't move them, I must just be trapped in a funny position. And that was, it felt like about 15 minutes, but probably was closer to 5. And then a security guard from one of the complexes had seen me go off the road, and he stopped a car, and a gentleman came down. I still don't know who he was, but a gentleman came down and then sort of said, okay, he would call somebody as an ambulance or whatever the case is. And I got him to redial my phone so the friend whose house I just left could then come to the scene of the accident. So, yeah, that was how the accident happened.